Hello, and welcome to Creator Chat, a series where I interview different creators, allowing them to share their favorite games and to put a spotlight on whatever project they are working on. This is the 7th interview for this series, and today we'll be chatting with the creator of Adieu Conexa, Broken Paradise, known as Claudine. Before we get started, I would like to file a complaint with the highest ranking officer. A troop was found driving recklessly, nearly hitting me and another troop. Due to reckless driving, the driver ended up wedging their vehicle in between two buildings. Have the evidence all right there.
Oh man, those guys. I was thinking of just completely getting rid of them. They've they've just been such a problem since like early release. Because either their AI is like really old. They were like the one thing that hasn't been changed about the game for like the longest time. I was thinking of like removing them for a while until I can like give them a good recode.
I thought it was pretty silly, but yeah, they seem kind of useless in that position in between two buildings.
They're very useless because what's the word? They were like always getting stuck in places, even from the start during the earliest form of the game.
All right, with that out of the way, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm Claudine. I'm a musician and a aspiring game developer. This game is my first project and the first one I'll take a lead on. I mostly specialize in orchestral and metal music. Yeah, that's about all you need to know about me. Hopefully I can get my game out there for a bit because it's more of a pet project than it is a main thing, but I still love working on it nonetheless.
What are your favorite Roblox games and game genres?
Ooh, if you're asking me, I'm particularly fond of the Great War games, such as like Horizon Blue, CENTAURA, maybe a little bit of Trenches. I haven't really played Airship Assault, but that's one of the things I like eyeing every now and again. My other favorite genre as well is horror. I'm a good sucker for screaming out loud when I can.
What are your least favorite games and genres?
Slop. Well, anything that involves long grinds or, just standing in place gambling. But, yeah, that's about it. That's, like, the one genre I don't really like. Things that don't involve you actually playing and just sitting around doing whatever.
Can you give a brief description of what Broken Paradise is?
Oh, well, if you want a brief description, it's a simple game, a movement shooter with a Great War look to it, while having mostly a fantasy setting and a lot of magic involved in most of the warfare. It was mainly a game I created because I thought that the genre of arcade shooters was always in between like modern day or futuristic, but I never saw anyone have a take on it with older weaponry and uniforms and whatnot. So I decided, hey, I should make a game about that and put a lot of fantasy spins into it because I think it would give a good steampunk impression.
I forgot to mention this, but how do you pronounce the title of the game? It's quite long.
Oh, it's okay. I was honestly thinking of shortening it, but as of now, if you want to pronounce the whole game's name, it's Adieu Conexa, Broken Paradise. Adieu Conexa is the original universe it was a part of before I eventually made the game, since it was just a simple adaptation of the universe's, inner workings.
Broken Paradise is a very unique class-based shooter. What inspired it?
Games like ULTRAKILL and another Roblox movement shooter game called Merc Fleet. Aesthetic itself was highly inspired by CENTAURA, but if we're talking about games outside of Roblox, there are these two bullet hell games that really inspired its lore. They're Touhou Project and Len'en Project, the latter being more obscure than the other.
Who works on the game?
Me, as of now, me. I had a much bigger team before. During its early phase, that would consist of my friend's Spirit Duo, creator of Cube Fusion and helps with cube combination, and my friend Igor, who does the outfits and whatnot, helps me build maps, and Raphael, who had the original concept. Some other people that help me are friends I like to call Uli and Raphael, and Lei. Those three also help me with some miscellaneous things like lighting and a bit of the current day features. Otherwise, as of now, it's only me that really works on the game's inner functions and whatnot.
The game seems fairly new, but do you have any major points or memories when getting to this point?
Well, I remember this time when as of now, we are in beta, but beta was actually supposed to come out much longer ago. But we had a little problem where our scripter was not available as he had other things to do, so I thought the game would die then, but I ended up taking the lead afterwards. The original beta release caused a lot of issues from a couple months back data would like just completely get lost, and whenever a player would join, they can't play. Like, it just caused the whole game to break, and that's why we had to roll it back, and beta couldn't come out for another half a year.
The gunplay in this game is third person with a very unique system. How does shooting actually work in the game?
Well, it's pretty simple. You have a little white circle. It goes white when you have an enemy in sight, and the closer you are to like the regular crosshair, like the diamond in the middle that's surrounded by a golden ring, the more likely you'll be able to hit a more accurate shot, and if you're lucky, or more accurate, a headshot, which does usually twice damage on most guns. It's a bit confusing, but I've been trying to make it a bit more, clear in later updates. But as of now, it is basically simple. Point and shoot. Whatever is in the circle will get hit. Whatever is near the golden ring, near your crosshair, will get headshotted.
Did anything in particular inspire this type of shooting experience compared to other more straightforward first-person shooters?
Initially, the third person was supposed to be alongside first person, but we had a problem with the camera where if you were on first person, it would just completely break the game, and it would just start sending you places. You could basically break the physics or just not play the game at all. The current aim assist feature is very inspired by another Roblox game that I mentioned earlier, Merc Fleet, which is even faster than Broken Paradise.
Classes in the game have promotions. How do these work?
Well, promotions are usually either an upgrade or a side grade to the current class you're playing. As of now, some subclasses also have their own promotions. Promotions are usually dependent on the class you play. Each class has its own promotion or shares another with a class if it's a subclass. Basically, you just grind out, you get some kills, and once the golden bar near your health is full, you can press V to promote, which respawns you as an upgraded version of that class, which either expands on one of its aspects or just a stat boost, like, for example, Officer's Shepherd promotion. Each promotion usually also has its own gimmick, such as Blitzer's ability to do lifesteal and Juggernaut's, huge machine gun.
As mentioned, the game is really unique. Was this your original goal in mind when starting out the project, or did you plan for something else entirely?
Well, I think it started off a joke that my friend made, where when the project was in its original budding days, and we weren't really sure what to do with it, he made a joke about the game, like, just jumping around like it's Merc Fleet, and I was like, hey, it'd be pretty cool if we made the game a movement shooter, because initially it was just going to be another slow-paced shooter, until I decided, hey, it would actually make more sense if, since the characters are all magic, if they were, capable of actually using such magic to aid them in battles like this. So we eventually started making it a movement shooter with a lot of speed, and to the point we needed aim assist to hit anything. We initially didn't want aim assist in the game, but with how fast it was going during early alpha, we thought it was a necessity.
Has the design of the game been difficult to some players to get used to, or do most of the players actually get the hang of it early on?
Well, it depends on which phase of the game. The last time we made a video on it, it was rather new, and it was hard to grasp the game itself, mainly because some people didn't find the fact that there was movement until like 2 matches in, were wondering why their enemies were flying and whatnot. But over time, it became easier to grasp the general game, especially after the addition of a simple tutorial, which will get reworked soon as well, alongside a proper class menu instead of that awkward top bar that you had to navigate around.
I did take a look at the class menu. It looks clean compared to the top bar.
The top bar, a lot of people didn't know that you could actually scroll to access the rest of the classes. It was also not clear which was a subclass and what wasn't.
Yeah, I had no clue about the scrolling of the top bar. I don't think I even knew about it until I was informed about it.
Yeah, it was a really janky old system that it was just like a vestige of the past versions of the game that I didn't really change out until I really learned how to work on it.
Does the game have a story or sort of lore? The description felt that way, but the gameplay feels a little bit more straightforward.
Ooh, well, yeah, this is a fun question to answer. Well, yes, the game does have a lot of lore, but I didn't want it to intercept in the gameplay that much. I didn't want making the lore to be a necessity to play the game, but a lot of gameplay mechanics do tie into the lore. Since you play as Conexians in the afterlife of Conexa, you are not human at all. You are playing as a bunch of organic dolls that have magical abilities. they hold the vessels of human souls, and since they hold the vessels of human souls, they are rather magical in nature. Their blood carries the essence of life itself, which is why their guns have an overuse meter. Since their guns also use blood to fire the projectile and also bless it to make each other, strong enough to actually pierce the flesh of your enemies, that's why you have an overuse meter that fills up with each time you fire the gun. Another reason why you can do this much movement and whatnot is because, by technicality, soldiers are trained to basically ignore what their human limits originally were and get used to their new bodies, unlike the civilians who are still under the guise of pretending to have human life in the eternity that they have to keep living here.
So it seems like the game has a large amount of lore, but I would have to imagine this is going to be an entirely separate area separated from the game itself then?
There's some really long lore, but I could make a dedicated comment on the video that follows. Because all you need to know is that it's a war in the afterlife. Two goddesses, after their father had died, have decided to form nations because they've grown too strong to fight each other personally.
With the overusage, couldn't I just use a class that has a melee weapon?
Well, yeah, you can. The only problem with melee is that you're fighting people with other guns, but when you get close, melee can be really devastating. But of course, once again, it really depends on the players you're fighting and or the NPCs you're mowing down. Some people find it more accustomed to use melee, some people would rather use firearms, and some classes are just hybrids. You can just use whatever fits your playstyle, but you must be ready to bear the consequences of what's gonna happen. Such as, when rushers have an SMG, but if they're too enthusiastic on using their sword, they might get close to another class that may potentially do really good close damage. So if you just go about with whatever you want to use, then you just need to be prepared to face whatever's going to be in front of you.
The maps in the game are pretty large. Are they all designed around capture point type matches, or are there different game modes in the current version?
There are different game modes, but most of them are capture point matches. As of now, I've still yet to develop some new game modes, but there are some maps that deviate from this trend, such as Team Deathmatch and King of the Hill.
I like the vehicles. Will players be able to use them, or are they NPCs only?
They're probably going to stay as NPCs, mainly because I feel it'd be a bit of a pace killer if you play a game like this and decide to just hop into a tank. Not just that, but because scripting vehicles can be rather finicky at times, and that's going to need whole new systems of its own, and that was probably going to clash with the already ongoing parts of the game.
Due to the grand nature of the matches, with all of the NPCs and the large maps, is the intent for large fights between players? And if so, has this caused any performance issues so far?
Earlier before it did, but as of now I've optimized mostly everything to work properly. The only time the game really lags is actually it doesn't lag often unless the Roblox servers themselves are dying but that's really it. As of now the game runs mostly buttery. The grand battles can also it really deviates between either players or NPCs or both. So I'm sure it should be going smoothly unless something really screwed up in there. Otherwise it's all fine.
On the topic of the NPCs, they feel like they mostly are just cannon fodder. Will there ever be any NPCs that put up a fight, or are they actually pretty strong in huge groups of numbers?
They are strong in huge groups, but they weren't initially the game's purpose or focus, mainly because I did expect the rounds to actually be 8v8s as I intended. The NPCs are mainly there to provide scenery and, make it so that I can actually still play the game while having no players or players in sight, mainly because NPCs just serve to be, cannon fodder, like you said. They're just there for fun. And mostly because I initially didn't want them in, but my friend insisted on them and it was a great decision. Another thing about the NPCs is that they are mostly basic in nature because, there's a lot of them. If they were any more, smart, it would actually make fighting groups of them go from easy to just genuinely very frustrating. Because in previous versions of the game, the NPCs moved a lot more, which caused more lag, and they were also really hard to fight if they were in groups.
What challenges did you experience that were unexpected or difficult?
Well, if it's about the game, it's really both just learning how to script after my scripter left. We're still friends, by the way. He just had other things to work on. That was the biggest challenge for me. Another challenge for me was also the game design itself. How we could implement things without killing the pace or making it too, overstimulating for most. Another challenge for me personally is negative criticism. Not that it's like hard to like deal with, but it's hard to find good negative criticism, because most of the negative criticism that I receive for the game is either just it not fitting with the rest of the genre, or people just asking me to dial it down, which in my opinion kind of feels like it might ruin the whole point of the game. But otherwise, negative criticism is very welcome, because it's kind of hard to find when your game is pretty dead. It does help with like buffing out issues when it does happen.
So development on the game is just lacking in testers?
Not really testers, but just generally some good help every now and again. Otherwise, it is going smoothly and great. It is a bit challenging for me since I'm a rather new scripter, but otherwise, it's pretty fun.
Alright, we are almost at the end here. As a developer, do you have any advice to anyone who wants to become a developer?
Do not expect that much is all my only advice. Being a developer nowadays is quite tough, especially if you don't have the Robux to advertise your game. But I promise, with time and persistence, you guys can make it up there. Do not be afraid of challenges you may overcome or come across, because challenges are natural. For me, I didn't even think I would learn how to script, but of course, I incentivized myself to. I pushed myself, and eventually, here I am developing a game. If you are scared of something, if you think something will be hard, then you'll make it more difficult for yourself. So, that's what I was taught by my friend as well. If you view something as Mount Olympus, you'll never be able to climb it.
That's some pretty cool advice.
Thank you.
I also thought it was kind of interesting, Roblox to support the game. I believe a few other devs. It's interesting to hear what devs have to say regarding their experience with Roblox and game development. I think a few others mentioned that just pushing forward, success will come your way, kind of along those lines, and that the advertisements kind of suck on Roblox.
Well, yeah, that's like $100 minimum to advertise your game for like what, 1 month or a week or so? Like, no one can just casually fork over $100, especially like young developers nowadays with a lot of potential. They kind of just get screwed over by the fact that you can't really, well, get your game out there if you don't have the money necessary. So you kind of just rely on word of mouth.
That kind of does seem to align with a few of the devs I've spoke with so far. Word of mouth being a good option.
Well, it's less of a good option and really your only option. But hey, word of mouth is better than just, depending on your luck.
Do you have any final mentions or things that you would like to promote?
Well, I would like to promote another developer friend of mine, Spirit Duo, and his game Noobfighter Symphony. It's a really solid game. I honestly look forward to its release. He's also working on another game right now. It's called Room Runner. It's one of those games with randomized rooms that you, run through. Otherwise, as I said before, if you want to develop a game, go for it. Just make sure to have patience and do not fear what challenges you have to come onto. Mainly because, as I said before, if you view something as a tall mountain to climb, then you'll just make it more difficult for yourself. Be open-minded and don't be afraid.
I thought the game sounded familiar. I searched, and that's the pretty interesting bullet hell top-down.
Yeah.
Noobfighter Symphony.
What's funny is Spirit never actually played any bullet hells before making the game. Most of his bullet hell info came from me and a bunch of other friends.
I enjoyed it. I checked out the game. It was very fun.
It's only gonna get better.
All right, we are all done with the questions. All done.
Thank you for having me.